What's going on, everybody? Nofrendo here, and in today's video, we got some really interesting news on the next generation Switch. So if you guys are new here and you guys love Nintendo Switch news, make sure to hit that subscribe button with the bell turned on. That way you can get notified when I post another video. So that's right. Industry insider Nate the Hate has just confirmed in his most recent podcast that Nintendo is not working on the Switch Pro. Oh no, no Switch Pro. The next generation Switch. It has been confirmed by developers that are working with Nintendo that it is in development right now. So I think this is really interesting information. So what's being said is that the Pro might have been something, but because of circumstances in the world, it got scratched. And what do we have now? We have the Nintendo Switch OLED, which is somewhat of a really nice revised Nintendo Switch. You get the better screen, the kickstand, all that good stuff. It is a nice console. I finally got mine in today. So I will be doing some OLED content with the system, like handheld gameplay, the stuff that I usually do on this channel. But industry insider Nate the Hate has confirmed that Nintendo is working on the next generation. Like a Switch 2 or Switch 4K or whatever Nintendo's decided or is going to decide to call this thing. So it's going to be the next generation. It's not going to be a Switch Pro where we're going to see the same Switch, but with, like a Pro version of it. We're going to see an all new dock, an all new Switch body, and possibly even new Joy-Cons. And there's a lot of things going around that point to a next generation Switch. We heard from Bloomberg again saying that 11 developers have this kit. Well, so right after these reports went up, Nintendo said, no, we're not working on the next revised Nintendo Switch. This is what you're getting. You're getting the Nintendo Switch OLED, which makes sense. They don't want to lose sales in the Nintendo Switch OLED, but that doesn't mean they're not working on the next generation Switch, which we all know they probably are, right? And this is exactly what Nate the Hate is confirming in his podcast. At this point, why would Nintendo revise the Nintendo Switch just to give us like a slight bump in performance, maybe some DLSS technology? Why not take this concept and just make it that much better? Bring us a new dock, a new Nintendo Switch handheld device that can bring all the bells and whistles with better technology, and wait until the chip shortage kind of catches up and they can bring all that, to the market and bring us an actual stock of this next generation. Well, somebody else is also in the podcast. I think it brings a lot of weight to this conversation. And that is Modern Vintage Gamer. And MVG has a lot of knowledge coming to the table being a game developer, so he can go into things like backwards compatibility with the next generation Switch and things of that nature. And so the conversation gets really in depth, and they go into backwards compatibility. How would that look like with the next Nintendo Switch? Is it going to use the same game cards? Is it going to be even compatible at all with the Nintendo Switch? Personally, what I think with backwards compatibility is that they will use the same game cards, because these game cards are capable of coming in a form of 64 gigabytes. Well, however, I've only seen maybe one of them on the Nintendo Switch, if any at all. I'm not even sure if we have seen any. So Nintendo and their developers have put awesome huge games on these game cards and compressed the files to fit on these game cards. So I think that these game cards could go into the next generation, or like we saw with the DS to the 3DS, maybe the same size or similar size form factor, where these game cards that we have on our Switch now will fit in the next gen Switch. So I think this is really interesting. Will they call it the Nintendo Switch? I don't know. Maybe they will. Nintendo is known for doing things like that, like from the Wii to Wii U to DS to 3DS, so on and so forth. So maybe it will be Switch 4K. They come up with some really strange names sometimes that don't make any sense, or like Switch XL, or, Super Switch, or Super Switch 2, or something weird like that. But who knows? That is up to Nintendo to please the consumer. But it has been confirmed, guys, that these new next generation consoles, or their kits, are out for developers to use to make games for, and this is a very interesting future. Now, what I wanted to go into real quick is, when will we see this? And Nate the Hate goes into it. He does say that he has talked to industry insiders, and there has been some, confirmation of games that need to be finished around this time window, and that is around July of 2022. So is that when Nintendo's going to announce the new next generation Nintendo Switch? I think that it all signs point to yes, because also Bloomberg said the same thing. So Nintendo does announce it, like maybe right before E3 is what Nate was saying, and then it comes out at the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023. Now you might be saying to yourself, why would they do that? They just released the Nintendo Switch OLED system. I finally just got my hands on it. It is a great console, but think about what's inside the OLED console itself. It's still got the Tegra X1 in there, and it is very dated hardware. This chip is very dated. So, there's already been proof that Nvidia and Nintendo are working with DLSS technology. So they put this new chipset in there, whatever they put in the new Switch, and that'll be how they get 4K out of their next generation Switch. And being a year or a year and a half out from today won't be that bad, I don't think. I mean, yes, I did just pick up a Switch OLED that did cost $350. That is not, a cheap system by any means. So why would I buy the next generation Switch? Well, if the games that I have now that are going to be backwards compatible with the next generation Switch, then I think it is a smart move to make. And I think it's one that I will definitely make for sure, because I do want a Nintendo Switch, or whatever they're going to call this thing, to be more powerful, to run Hyrule Warriors at 60 frames 1080p with no hiccups at all. So, think about that. Breath of the Wild getting better frame rates on this next generation Switch. Well, now does this kind of coincide with Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever we're going to call the next Breath of the Wild game, the next Zelda game coming out for the Nintendo Switch? Is this going to launch alongside the next generation Switch? And that could be it. That could be why they're pushing it to 2022, and there could be a release around that. It does make sense to me in my head for Nintendo to release the next Zelda game with the next generation Nintendo Switch. So I feel really confident about this, guys. He has talked to his buddies in the industry. That's Nate the Hate I'm talking about. MVG feels really good about it as well. And like I said, he's a game developer, so he does have inside information. So all signs are pointing to we are getting a next generation Switch, maybe as soon as the end of next year or the beginning of 2023. Very exciting stuff. I cannot wait. Be really interesting to see what Nintendo does with this next generation Switch. Are we going to get the best OLED screen on the handheld form factor, and then a really nice dock, maybe even a revised dock to where it won't possibly scratch the screen, or I don't know, but it's going to be really interesting to see what Nintendo does with this next generation Switch, because I know, and a lot of people feel the same way as I do, that the Switch Hybrid is really successful, and it is my favorite console of all time. I really hope they keep somewhat of the same form factor, maybe add in a D-pad, those kinds of things, I don't know, but, and change some things, like with the Joy-Cons, fix Joy-Con drift, and those kinds of things. I don't know, guys. I'm just kind of going on a hearsay. This is what Nate the Hate says, so I do feel really confident in what he says and what he found out through his friends in the gaming industry and what they're talking about with this next generation Switch. So count on a Switch Pro not happening, and a next gen Switch 2, Super Switch 2, whatever they're going to call it, to be revealed next year. And all signs are pointing to that, guys. So really exciting stuff. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen, like I said. But anyways, guys, if you guys are new here and you guys love this kind of stuff, hey, give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. We just hit 1,000 subs, so the channel is going forward. It's looking awesome, and I cannot wait to make more videos for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.